Welcome to Book Club The Yappening, a podcast where we discuss every and all things we've read and some of us haven't read, in a safe place where we can yap about life in general. In the description, you'll find links to our Fable, Instagram, and Discord accounts. Please follow for more yapping in different styles. For a warning, we will 100% be spoiling this book, so please pause, go read, and come back to yap.
Let's jump on into it. Today we are going over the book of the Unnamed Midwife by Meg Elison. Major and moderate triggers, and these are some pretty major triggers. I would say that this is a very triggerful book, so check all trigger warnings, but major and moderate SA, including things like the big R word, sexual violence, suicide, miscarriage, not marriage, human trafficking, child death, and abuse. If any of these things are going to be major triggers for you, please skip this episode because, like I said, that's kind of the main theme of the book here. So
marriage could be a trigger.
I mean, it could be, truly. I feel that.
You have to draw the line somewhere, otherwise you're going to... Like, when people trigger, like, just food.
Life is a trigger.
I mean,
no,
it do be like that sometimes, honestly. I be victimized by life all the time.
Please stop reminding me of my, I was going to say mortality, but that's more death.
Well, that's also a trigger.
Sure.
All right. So, I really do attempt to kind of skirt around the, like, nitty-gritty details. But again, if any of the subject matter is going to be difficult for you, please skip this one. We'll just catch you on the next one. It's totally fine. So, we open with a woman named Mother Ina. She's wearing a wooden belly to represent a pregnant belly. She's overseeing a group of boys who are working as scribes. They are in an abandoned old world building. It's an old school. Only 3 classrooms are still usable. The boys are writing with ink made from squids and other fish. The ink and parchment are incredibly hard to come by, so these boys have been training since they were incredibly young. Today, Mother Ina tells them that they will be copying down the books of the Unnamed Midwife, specifically consisting of 19 journals, including the Book of the Dying. The boys have grown up learning the story of the Unnamed, but they've only learned the canon events. Now they will know the rest of the full story. Mother Ina has told them that these volumes were incredibly disturbing, and it was okay if the boys cried or felt sick while they're doing this, but that they were strong and that this was an incredibly important job. We open with Volume 1, The Books of the Dying. Beginning on January 15th, these are journals being written by a labor and delivery nurse. The country is currently being ravaged by a fever. The fever very specifically is impacting women and their ability to safely give birth. By February 2nd, the rate of infection is out of control. There was a massive rise in stillbirths. The hospital is currently under quarantine. No one has any answers as to what is going on or how to stop it. The fever is essentially ripping through both cities and small towns alike. It's not just sort of dependent on high population. And then nothing seems to be helping or slowing this down in any way. There are theories that this is just a widespread autoimmune disease.
Have they tried more cowbell?
Yes, they have tried more cowbell.
I'm out of ideas.
Also drinking bleach, and that has not assisted in any way.
It doesn't really cure anything, as far as I can tell.
You know,
It doesn't stop people.
The horse stuff. Okay, anyways. So, by February 6th, our Unnamed has come down with the fever. Everyone is sick. Some men seem to be recovering, but for women and children, it's almost always a death sentence. The fever, again, is incredibly widespread, especially among pregnant patients. Not a single new baby has been born since the fever started, and that is in the entirety of the world. Let's see. And then only 1% of laboring patients even survive laboring. So, like, not only are the babies not making it, but very frequently the women are not making it as well. So fast forward, we hit with the, steady trope of fucking apocalypse. Our Unnamed wakes up in a completely silent hospital. She's laying on a cot in the nurse break room. Her throat and mouth are parched as if she hasn't had water in many days. As she makes her way through the hospital, she's noticing that there's no power, no lights, no machines, nothing. Patients are lining the halls, but none of them are alive. Very, again, end of the world trope. The unnamed begins walking home. She's immediately strips out of her scrubs. Once she gets home, she hops in the shower. The shower water is ice cold, but very swiftly the shower completely loses pressure and the water stops altogether. No other plumbing is working. She wanders into the kitchen to get something to eat. All of her food fully rotten. She, she will later go on to estimate that she was in the hospital for about 10 days before she woke up. And then she finds a box of crackers and a warm Gatorade, so she kind of woofs all that down. The power, again, obviously out. She puts on some clean clothes and she gets into bed. She sleeps for roughly 24 hours. She is awoken just before dawn by a man kneeling on her bed and rolling her over. At first, she thinks that it's her partner that's come home. That is not the case. Obviously, we know where this is going, so skipping over the details. But at some point during the attack, she's able to fumble her way into her nightstand, retrieve a pocket knife. She struggles, she fights, and then she stabs him in the neck because our queen is like, absolutely not. She goes to the bathroom, administers first aid to herself, and then she gets dressed, grabs her phone, her pocket knife, and her journal, and she gets the fuck out of there. The city is fully deserted, very 28 days later coded. There's car crashes, there's bodies in the street, there's windows broken, all the good stuff of a post-apocalypse. As she wanders, she begins to smell someone cooking. She hears faint noises of someone singing, and she's unsure if she should approach because, you know, the last person she saw didn't go so cute. But she decides she's super hungry, and if the person's singing, maybe they're not dangerous, so she heads on over there, risking it for the biscuit. She follows her nose across the street. She finds an old Mexican restaurant. There's a man inside. He's very tall, and he's making pupusas. He hears her come in and he turns around with a smile, obviously thinking that it's someone that he knew. Once he realizes that it's her, he asks who the hell she is. She apologizes for intruding, but tells him that the food smells incredible.
I'm the health inspector.
Right, literally. He then lowers down the spatula, which he was wielding as a defense tool. He tells her he just wanted to make food. He didn't want any trouble. He's waiting for his friend to come back. She tells him that she hasn't seen anyone in the street. He responds, "You and me both, girl. We thought we were the last two on Earth." She begins to relax because she's correctly assuming that she's not his type. They begin to chat a little. He tells her that before everything collapsed, people were calling this an extinction event, stating that all of the women were likely to die. And I don't just mean all of the sick women, I mean like every single woman on Earth. Whatever this was has a nearly 100% infection rate. We're later going to come to find out that the mortality rate among men is 98%, meaning that the mortality rate among women is higher than 99%. Women are incredibly outnumbered, which, as all of us know, is a pretty dangerous situation combined with lawlessness. Yes.
Does this have any connection to Children of Men, which I can only assume is a movie about Mpreg?
I have no idea.
What?
Nick is like trying to make this cuter than it's going to be.
I'm trying to provide some kind of levity here. We're getting into heavy stuff, and you know, I'm holding back.
Oh, it's true, man. The last few of our podcasts are just heavy.
I know. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I promise my next episode is going to be fun. I promise.
Well, you get the heavy stuff. I get the lighter stuff.
Literally, yeah.
But because I'm doing the editing, mine is a little more sparse.
I know. And this book is the first of a trilogy. However, this is going to sound stupid, but this book very much feels like a prequel to the other two rather than like the first book in a trilogy, if that makes sense in any way. So
Wait, is it...
Oh, go on.
Is it like... Do the other two books go into, like, it happening, like, prior to those 10 days?
No.
Or, like...
This one feels like a prequel to those two. So
okay.
The other two are basically set in almost like a Fallout type situation where we're like years and years and years after things have happened, and so we're only seeing the new societies popping up and how people have essentially just like basically the people living in that world have never lived in any other type of world. Like that is all that population remembers because nobody is from before the fever. So that's kind of why I mean that this one feels like a prequel, because the other two take place so far in the future that, like, it feels like the other two are just, like, a really cute duology, with this being and by cute, I mean, obviously not cute, because the themes are going to be theming throughout all three of them. Meaning to say, I am going to do this one, and then the other two we're going to have a break so that we're not, dealing with upsetting things. But again, these are really great books, and I've never heard anybody really talk about them, aside from just, like, the one video I saw that recommended this book that I, like, decided to pick up. But these books were very much my, like, top books of last year.
I know. I was just going through your bracket, and Unnamed Midwife was your number one book.
Yeah.
Higher than, I think, Heir of Fire was your...
yes.
The opposite?
Yeah. And that one was really hard to pick between the two. But, like, I read this one in February of last year, and it was my favorite book of the year. So, like, it definitely stuck with me. But the other two, they have two different main characters, but it very much feels like it could have just been one book, because it very much slides, like, where one ends, the second one immediately begins. Which, again, is why I say that this one feels like a prequel, because this one happens so far in advance. The other two could have come out, and this one could have come out third, and it still would have, in my opinion, made sense,
So the other two are like if they made a sequel to a movie, the main actor or actress didn't want to come back, but they needed the main character, so they just kind of recast, but then realized...
You're saying so many words and none of them make sense in the context.
That's that's how I am.
I know.
They recast the main character and then realize, we have to recast the main actor as well. So Charles is now Shane with no explanation.
Okay.
Oh, I think I understand. Yeah, so you're talking about, like, the second book is, like, Shane, but the first book is the other person.
Oh, no. No, so the second book is the Book of Edda, and then as Edda's, adventuring, doing stuff and things, Edda meets Flora, and the second book is the Book of Flora, so that's kind of where it is more so of, like, it's a linear event, like, it's not, like, repeating anything, but we follow the one main character, and then the second book we follow the second main character, but it's still, again, the same timeline.
Gotcha.
Flora picks up right off where Edda leaves, and it's, again, very, very good. The other two, I've
heard a lot of things about these books, and I just know it's too much for me and my triggers, so I can't read them, so I'm kind of glad you're covering it, because now I get to listen to it without reading it.
Yes. And then... one thing I love so much about the second two is that because society has basically fully collapsed, and this is, like, the, like, new generations, like, far in the future, there's, like, some people that they run into that don't believe women even exist at all. Like, they have no concept of how people get to being, but they've never seen women, and so they just don't think anybody is a woman, and if you say that you're a woman, you're lying in some way, like... And also just sort of the concept of, like, gender fluidity and trans isn't as terrible as it is. And, like, the society's more accepting of it for the most part.
Accepting, yeah.
And one thing I love is that you'll be, like, they'll find a settlement, and then you'll be trying to guess where the settlement is. Like I mentioned in the last episode I recorded, there's a place called Demons, but it's Des Moines. And then there's another place called Shy, and that one took me for fucking ever to figure out where Shy was, but that's Chicago. So it's
oh my God.
It's really, really cool in that, like, just for me trying to, like, guess, like, what city they're actually in, I very much enjoyed. But then also, like, each settlement that we come across is so vastly different. And obviously we know that, like, state to state, like, the culture of the United States varies fucking wildly between, like, the Midwest and California and New York and the South and Florida. Like, it's basically, like, we're all, like, tiny countries, like, living within the big country. But even more so in that. So that's, and obviously, as per usual, the Floridians, no offense, Floridians, but the Floridians and them are the fucking weirdest people. But anyways, so this one's heavy, yes, and then we're gonna pause and not come back to the next two for at least a little bit. I think like maybe April or May is when I have that slated out in the calendar. Okay, so the man that's cooking the pupusas, he introduces himself as Joe. He tells her that his friend Chicken is out getting water. This is and they were roommates type situation, with Joe and Chicken. He tells her he might as well sit down, or she might as well sit down and have some food. She introduces herself as Karen. She's decided that she's just going to be Karen for now. As a side note, this book does what it says on the tin. We will never know her name. She essentially floats through this entire story just picking up new identities as she's going, more or less being gender fluid by necessity. But again, every time she meets somebody new, she introduces herself as someone new, and we will never know her name at any point in this book. So, as Karen and Joe are chatting, they hear a commotion. Chicken's yelling for help. He enters the restaurant, but his leg is completely cut up and, like, wrapped in razor wire. His jeans are almost purple. They're, like, so full of blood.
So who is this?
Chicken. So...
Okay, you said chicken. I wanted to jump in and say, how do you know the chickens are yelling for help?
No. Okay, so as of right now, we have three characters. We have Joe and Chicken, who are lovers or roommates. And then... we have Karen.
And they were roommates.
And they were, yes, and they were roommates.
I'm hoping they're lovers.
No, they are. They absolutely are.
I know.
Yeah, okay. Anyways, so Karen jumps into action. She helps Chicken. She tells Joe to run over to the drugstore, emphasis on the word run. Chicken tells her that he was loading up on bottled water and a man came at him with a shovel, so he jumped out a window and he ended up landing on razor wire. After fixing Chicken up, he and Joe say that they need to find water because obviously Chicken had to abandon the water and they need a place to sleep for the night. They ask Karen if she wants to go with them. She accepts, thinking that it would be safer to be with two people who are friendly than alone in a world full of danger, essentially. They are very smart cookies, and they decide to go to an office building where they find a full water cooler, so they're able to just kind of chill and drink water and, like, have a safe and closed place to, like, spend the night.
Talk about what they watched on TV the night before.
Literally, gather on the water cooler. Let's see, the fellas let her know that everyone has either died or left the city, but any person they've run into in the city is either, like, fully psycho, wants to kill you, or they're so aggressively defensive that they will try to kill you just on sight, thinking that if I don't kill you, you're gonna kill me at some point, you know? So it's like either you're rational, but, like, very paranoid, or you're just like, hell yeah, anarchy, let's go. So, let's see. Chicken says that he's surprised that Joe even let her in. Joe says that he did it because he hasn't seen any women alive. He literally thought that no women were alive anymore. So he kind of let her in, like, okay, you're the last of your kind sort of thing. Chicken and Joe tell her that they're planning to stay in the city, and she contemplates if that's the best move for her, and what life is going to look like moving forward if she decides to stay in the city and if she decides to leave. So, in the morning, our trio are debating on where to go next. While they're doing so, they're knocked down by an explosion. Inadvertently, the gas from the restaurant the day before has exploded, causing, like, just a huge, obviously, explosion. They're now debating where they should go that would be safe, that isn't going to have likely gas leaks, because, like, now that's a real and present danger for them. They decide that they're going to go to the mall. Once at the mall, they split up to look for clothes. Our girl decides that women's clothes are not durable enough for, like, what lies ahead for her, and so she decides to opt for menswear, which is going to be very valuable to her in the future, so good on her.
Plus it has pockets.
It has, yeah,
I would
absolutely.
rather blend in as a man than be a sole woman in this world.
Yes, ma'am. That is exactly where this one is going. So, let's see. Okay, so she gets the menswear. She's just kind of mingling in the mall, waiting for Joe and Chicken to finish up what they're scavenging for. and she sees two men in the mall. She freezes, they look at her, and then they immediately fucking rush her. She takes off running, ends up running into Chicken and Joe, who heard the scuffle, and they too were trying to get the fuck out of the mall. They leave the mall, they hop into a dumpster, and they wait for things to kind of quiet down. Once the coast is clear, Chicken looks at her and says, they came at us because of you. You gotta go. We cannot have you here. Because any men that sees us are going to try to kill us to take you away from us, and I don't care to have you that badly, so I need you to get out. So they end up going their separate ways. Fast forward, I believe this is spring 1 year later, but I'm not 100% certain. But regardless, we are like pretty deep into spring. Our girl has been scavenging and surviving. She hasn't gone especially far from where she started, which is San Francisco. While raiding, she has stocked up on birth control. She has 86 vials of Depo, plus a huge box of hypos, 2 large stashes of the patch, and 3 large boxes of the ring.
I know 3 of those is hypo also.
Like hypodermic needles.
Okay.
For the Depo.
Check.
So, let's see. She's also found a binder. To kind of help mask herself as a man. She's also been working on her movements, her mannerisms, perfecting her man voice. She's been doing push-ups to bulk herself up. She's like really out here trying to like blend in. So
I mean, if you listen to audiobooks as any indication, women can do men voices a lot better than men can do women's voices.
You know what? I have seen a couple men do women's voice as well, so that honestly just makes me feel like the men who can't just don't fucking care to. Which pisses me off even more.
They're not trying hard enough.
Right. Like, guy, get it together. Anyways, so a lot of the first portion of the book is her just like wandering and bumping into people. So I have kind of skirted around a lot of that. But at some point she is scavenging. She hears a group of men discussing that they want to head south. Her being our intelligent queen decides that is an indication for her that she should absolutely not head south. If like men have decided like that's their goal, then she's like, cool, I'm gonna head north. So girlfriend is moving, scavenging. She comes across 2 men with a woman. Posing as Rob, she introduces herself and asks them if they are interested in doing some trade. In exchange for cigarettes and liquor, Rob has asked if their woman was for trade or for sale. They agree that Rob, our unnamed, can have their woman for 30 minutes, but they have to be within earshot. So unnamed agrees to this. The men warn our unnamed not to fuck the girl up. But essentially, Rob, our unnamed, gets the woman into a secluded area, reveals herself to be a woman. She gives the woman a shot of Depo, telling her that she'll be good for 3 months at that point. And after that, she gives her a pack of rings and tells her how to use them. Because our queen's main goal is to make sure no more women die. So if she can't change their circumstance, she's at least going to protect them from getting pregnant. So she's basically like the fucking queen of the wasteland.
She's the queen.
Yeah, dishing out birth control left, right, and center. So this is like essentially going to be her goal is just to kind of keep it pushing, stay safe, but also help women as much as she possibly can. So late summer, Unnamed has made her way from San Francisco up into Oregon. They don't give me the city for that. They just say the state. And then, let's see, she's decided that she's going to settle here for the winter. She continues practicing her man cosplay while working out, trying to bulk up, be a masculine queen. Whenever Unnamed comes across any letters or journals while she's scavenging, she stops and she records the messages, basically being the message of name and then the year of the dying. This is going to come into play a little bit more later with other characters. So if she, like, spends any significant amount of time with anybody, she has them write their story in her journal. Because along with obviously keeping women as safe as she possibly can, she wants to make sure that everybody's story is being told to at least somebody. So we head into autumn. A group of men come across the neighborhood that our unnamed has settled in. She begins worrying that the men will begin scavenging and that they'll eventually come across her. She is unfortunately correct. She tries to scare them off by shooting at them and telling them that this house has been taken. They can, like, go scavenge any other house in the neighborhood. They just can't bother her. Obviously, she's being a man as she's doing this. The guys leave the house, but unfortunately, they stay in the area. One night, she wakes up to one of the men crawling through a window in the house. They've broken in. She kills him. The other men that are waiting outside, she tells them again, this house is taken, you need to go. But unfortunately, considering it was a break-in in the middle of the night, and considering she's been on high alert, our poor queen is incredibly fucking sleep-deprived and is not really able to muster up her man voice. So the men immediately clock that she's a woman. They then try to break in again. She's able to fight them off. As the group leaves, they tell her that they'll be back and she's coming with them. She won't have a choice. This kind of rinse and repeat. Queen defends the castle. Men try to invade. Eventually, they're sick of how many of them have been murdered by her just trying to get into the damn house, that they eventually just fucking leave her alone. So let's see. Come early January, she's come across 25 men. Only 3 women alive has she come across. She hasn't seen a single child. By spring, she's moved on. She's armed with more muscle. She has a motorcycle. She takes that. She heads on the road. She does run out of gas, continues on foot, again, just walking and doing things. Okay, by summer, she comes across 5 men who are dragging 2 women. When I say dragging, it's because they're literally on leashes. Neither of them are clothed. She introduces herself as Carl and offers to trade. After the words have left her mouth, she realizes that there's actually a lot of them and they're really big and maybe she shouldn't have approached them at all. But she's already done it. She's going to do what she can. She offers them medical supplies, antibiotics, first aid kits, and tells them that she has opioids. In exchange, Carl wants time alone with both the ladies. The men will only agree to let Carl have one of the women because it only takes one to get the job done. They offer that she can take the older of the 2, who's approximately in her 40s. We'll come to find out that her name is Roxanne. Carl, or unnamed, doesn't agree to this. He begins to walk away, at which point the men ask Carl if he's alone. Carl lets them know that she has a group camped out nearby. The men ask Carl to join up with them, ditch their group, and then just kind of like come travel with them, saying that clearly you're a good scavenger considering all of the meds you have. Clearly you have medical training. So if you come with us, you can definitely have both the women anytime you want, no biggie. But Carl obviously declines, stating that he won't be ditching his pretend group, being a loyal king. They ask him to go back to the camp and bring them more drugs, essentially. So Carl agrees to this. She takes off. She, like, walks, and as soon as she's out of eye shot, she takes off running, and she basically just circles the neighborhood that she's currently in, to make it seem like she has left and gone somewhere very far and come back. So after about an hour of just kind of circling, she heads back on over to where the group was. Unfortunately, they did in fact have someone on the roof who watched her essentially just run in circles for an hour before coming back.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So they tell Carl that he's very clearly alone, and so they're just going to take what they want and be gone with him. Our unnamed understands that once they start searching her, they're going to know who she is, and she's going to end up on a chain too. So she's not going to let that happen. This is also all going down in, like, a saloon/dive bar, which very much is just giving, like, season 2 of The Walking Dead. Like, the showdown at the bar. Nick, if you recall at all what I'm talking about, like, that's just how I pictured this in my head.
I wasn't thinking season 2, but I do remember something happening in a bar.
Yeah. Anyways, so
shootout... because Herschel goes there to drink his sorrows away.
Correct. So, yeah, shootout occurs. She actually manages to kill all of the men. One of them has made it off with the 2 ladies in tow, so she comes out and she does him in with a headshot.
Boom.
Yep. She frees the women. She offers them to come inside. She says that she'll feed them and she'll help them scavenge for clothes and backpacks and things to set themselves up for, like, survival, essentially. The younger of the two women is just sitting and sobbing uncontrollably. Unnamed gives them some water, goes to the nearby houses for them and brings them back shoes and clothes. Any food she found, she gives to them. The younger woman asks where they are, and Unnamed tells them that they're in Oregon, or Oregon, however you pronounce that fucking state. Right, they're right on the border of Nevada, though. So, the younger woman tells the Unnamed that she was in Michigan, traveling just outside of Detroit with her boyfriend, when a group of men killed him and they took her. They drove most of the way from Detroit to here, but basically in Vegas, they lost the car, and that's when they ended up on leashes, just so that they couldn't run off because they weren't in vehicles anymore. They also picked up Roxanne in Vegas. Roxanne tells the Unnamed that she was traveling with her friend Nettie, but that she ended up being tased, and when she woke up, she was in chains. Unnamed goes on to ask them if they are pregnant and if they're having regular cycles. The younger one is horrified and basically says, "Are you still going to try to fuck us?" Roxanne pipes up and says, she said she has medical training, remember? Emphasis, Roxanne very clearly clocked that Unnamed was never, in fact, a man. The midwife is surprised that Roxanne kind of clocked her. Roxanne says, "I worked in Vegas. I know a drag queen a drag king when I see one." The women then tell the midwife kind of the symptoms, what's going on. She sets them up with medications. However, the younger of the two essentially asks if midwife has anything that'll just kind of end it for her. She doesn't feel like if she sets out on her own that she's going to remain on her own for long. She doesn't want to end up in captivity again. The Unnamed basically just can't fathom doing that, so she refuses, basically saying, like, "I'm not gonna help you kill yourself. Like, if that's what you want to do, like, get it, but, like, I'm not going to assist with that." So let's see. They stay the night in an abandoned house. The next morning, but they wake up, and the younger of the two, so not Roxanne, has left, but she's left her shoes in her backpack, so it's very clear that she wasn't intending to go very far, nor was she intending to come back. So Unnamed and Roxanne decide that they're not going to look for her, obviously, because they know they're not going to find her alive, and they decide to set off together. The Unnamed introduces herself to Roxanne. So sorry. Okay. I swiped. Okay. Roxanne introduces herself.
I'm trying to sit up. My chair squeaks so loud.
You're so good, girl.
Got ripped out.
R.I.P. Okay.
Oh, okay, I'm back.
Unnamed introduces herself as Alex to Roxanne. Alex tells Roxanne that she's heading northeast, away from where everyone else is heading. Roxanne confirms that yes, all the men are heading south because there's been a radio broadcast. The radio broadcast is in Spanish, but it's advertising a colony of survivors, stating, "Most of our women didn't die here. It's safe to bring your women here with you." The message then goes on to say that the women will be cared for as the mothers of a new civilization. And if you have 2 brain cells, you know that if it's already implied that they're going to be mothers of a new civilization, it's probably not the best place for women to be.
I'm so glad I have 2 brain cells.
Yeah, congratulations.
Yeah.
Yeah, so while traveling, Roxanne asks Alex if she's a lesbian. Alex states that she dated mostly women in college, but her longest-term relationship was with a man, which seems pretty on brand for anybody who's bisexual or bisexual adjacent. Alex then goes on to tell her that the cross-dressing is new. It's not something that she normally does. It's just something she's doing now to keep her safe. Roxanne thinks that they should try to find men to care for them and protect them. Alex, is smart and knows that it's going to be incredibly hard to determine if a man is safe. Like, just in normal life, it is hard to determine if a man is safe. And even more so now, where it seems like most of the men are mostly feral. You're really not going to know, or, it's just a bad situation. So Alex basically points out that she's the one that rescued Roxanne, and she's been doing fine on their own. So, like, who needs protecting, bitch? Like, I saved you. What do you mean? Roxanne then goes to share her story via writing a journal. In the before days, she was a dancer, but like the accountant type of dancer. She then retired into waitressing. She also goes on to share that she wasn't tased and captured by the men. She was tased by her friend Nettie. Nettie and Roxanne hear the men entering a building that they're sleeping in. Nettie tases Roxanne and takes off so that she's not captured, but Roxanne is.
What a bitch.
What
a bitch.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, objectively, yes. Nettie had, like, a bit of a backstory as to why, like, she was very aggressively not gonna get taken, and, like, I get it, but also, like, she's your homegirl, what do you mean? The ladies travel, they scavenge, they dippin' and doin'. Around the beginning of August, let's see, while traveling, they come across a man. He's alone, and he's not hostile, at least not directly hostile. They are gonna come to find out that coincidentally, he also is from Detroit, so just, it feels really weird that all of these, like, Michiganders from Detroit have just ended up in, like, the, like, West, essentially.
I swear, if you travel, I swear to God, I'll leave Michigan. I'll find someone from Michigan. We went to Japan, and we found somebody from Michigan.
I love that. Like, are Michiganders just out here?
I don't even understand that. We're everywhere. Michiganders are everywhere.
I love that.
Anyways.
Which is crazy. Like, this is going to sound silly, but for, like, there to be so many Michiganders just, like, traveling outside of the state when, like, Michigan has so many beautiful places to travel in state, it's also kind of funny, It's not like a cornfield state,
Oh, I know.
Also,
there's so many pretty places out here.
Yeah.
It's funny that, like, post-apocalypse, everyone is leaving Detroit when a lot of rich people right now are, like, trying to set up compounds or safe houses, basically vacation homes for post-apocalypse, and they're choosing Michigan because of the Great Lakes having fresh water sources.
That is so fair. However, for me personally,
they will not survive the winters.
It's that for me. So winters are rough, and you don't necessarily know if it's going to be like a super mild winter where you barely need to break out your winter jacket, or like now where all of a sudden we have snow constantly and it's like 10 degrees. So that's just kind of another sort of thing to me, is that it would make sense to go somewhere that's just generally mild all year round, but also somewhere where you can grow things.
Yeah.
So, like, Michigan would not
like,
be...
if it's apocalyptic, you're
right.
going to want to grow where there's you can do farmland all year.
Yes.
And not many people know how to work a greenhouse, I would say.
Just something without a harsh winter.
Maintain it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the billionaires are looking too far beyond fresh water and potentially people to do those jobs for them.
Right.
They would lose in an apocalyptic setting.
Yeah, well, yeah.
For eventually.
Eventually.
Maybe for... But.
Yeah, I guess the sort of stereotype we would be looking at is people who don't necessarily have to do things for themselves, ending up in a situation where they have to do everything for themselves, even things that the normal man doesn't have to do for themselves, such as, like, butchering animals and, like, having farms, etc., etc. But
I'm like, that's in every like social class issue.
Yeah, but
not just rich people, but
what I'm saying is that the rich people then, like, they didn't even have to do the normal stuff that normal people are, like, used to doing for themselves, so they'd have, like, a harder time because now they're trying to pick up an extreme amount of skills, whereas, like, middle class is just trying to pick up, like, others, like, we have a garden where we grow vegetables, so, like, we would, obviously we're not, like, feeding ourselves throughout the entire spring and summer, but we at least know how to grow things to some extent, Upper
class has money, lower class has skills.
Yeah, upper class has, gardeners for them. So yeah, that's exactly what you said. Okay, anyway, so we're guy from Detroit. He's on a motorcycle. He tells them he's not hostile, and he pulls out his gun, but his gun is a toy gun that he's painted, just to keep himself safe to some extent. So if someone tries to get hostile with him, he can pull the gun and hopefully try to scare them off, without them needing to find out it's fake. Alex really doesn't give a shit. The guy basically says, like, he just doesn't want to be alone. Like, even if you just stay and talk to me for a couple minutes, like, please, for the love of God, I haven't seen anybody in so long. I just want to have a conversation. But Alex is like, no, we're gonna fucking shoot you if you try to follow us, and we're leaving now. He introduces himself as Duke, and again, he's pleading with them just to stay and chat with him. And, like, spoilers, Duke is actually a good guy. He really genuinely just wants somebody to talk to.
Oh, good, because my ass would fall for that. I would stay and talk to him, and I'm like, am I gonna die here?
Right. So Roxanne decides for the both of them that they're gonna stay and chat with him. But by the end of the evening, Roxanne has invited Duke to travel with them. He says that he's super happy to join up with them, but he is heading south. Alex basically is like, I'm absolutely not fucking heading south. That sounds like the worst idea ever. I'm sorry, but if that's the caveat to joining with you, which I don't want to do anyways, I'm absolutely not joining with you. They stay with him for about 3 days, though. They just kind of hang out in whatever area they're in. But after the 3 days, Roxanne decides that she is going to go with Duke. Alex warns her that no matter what, she has to talk Duke out of going south. She says you need to find someplace secure and you need to make it a home base, but you cannot under any circumstances go south. In this book, our homegirl author here, wonderful, beautiful lady, is going to essentially tie up all loose ends for any characters that we meet. And by tie up loose ends, I don't mean that we're going to run into them again, but we will get, like, basically a snippet of, like, what their future entailed and what ended up of them. Unfortunately, Duke and Roxanne do in fact head south, and a group of men kill Duke. They take Roxanne. The radio message that was being broadcasted telling people to head south was in fact just to lure people to bring their women to the south, and then they kill and take the women. So Roxanne...
What?
Right, I know. Roxanne ends up in a fort, where she spends the rest of her life. She's never rescued. She's never escaped. She spends the rest of her life in a cell. Back to our main storyline. By September, the Unnamed has made it to Utah. She's near Salt Lake City. She's seeing a lot of billboards everywhere with messages painted on them. Some of them are for someone specific and telling them where to go, and obviously if you are into any sort of zombie anything, you are familiar with what I'm referencing here. Just kind of like Luke, gone to river, or, you know, whatever type of thing. Basically people trying to meet up with their other people. She's also seeing a lot of really religious end of time messages, and if you are at all familiar with Utah and Salt Lake City, you can probably guess which group is painting these religious messages. By October, it's beginning to snow. She's found a house to stay in for the winter. The area she's in is small and doesn't have a ton of, like, stores and things for her to scavenge. So she specifically wants to stock up on, like, winter equipment, like snowshoes and things of that nature, so she's still able to, like, go out and about mildly during the winter. As it's snowing, though, she's getting incredibly paranoid because she's constantly seeing movement out of the corner of her eye. So it's making it really difficult for her to, like, be safe because she doesn't know if someone is moving or if it's snow type of thing, right? So she ends up finding a map. She sees a town nearby. It seems like a larger town, so she's pretty certain that they're going to have, like, a Cabela's or something for her to go and get, like, outdoor gear. She manages to find a car that's, like, working, so she gets that up and running, and she heads over to this town. The town is called Huntsville. She gets to Huntsville. She finds that there are survivors. There is essentially, the town has been fully rebuilt. Like, it's legitimately, like, a town. So I would say Woodbury, if you are at all familiar with The Walking Dead. It's that type of thing where it's like a neighborhood that's been, like, just walled off and secure, and people are just actually peopling and not being psycho. Well, you know, the people are in fact Mormons. Again, if you're familiar with Utah, I'm sure that's not surprising. So they're maybe not fully peopling like normal people, but they're at least not overtly aggressive towards her. She has introduced herself to them as Dusty. The Mormons are incredibly welcoming to her.
I thought you were trying to go by male names.
Dusty's a unisex.
I would say unisex.
Yeah. For me, in my mind, Dusty is a male name, period. However, I know that we had a teacher her name was Dusty. But that's like
remember
literally
Dusty.
Yeah, that's the only instance of a female Dusty I'm aware of is that one beautiful English teacher. Which also very fitting. She's just like a hippy dippy English lady in like beautiful skirts. Okay, so introduces herself as Dusty. The Mormons are super welcoming, but they're also incredibly curious about Dusty and like what Dusty has been doing, what things have been like on the outside. The community is mostly men, but there are 3 women among them. Dusty stays with the Mormons for dinner. She is telling them that she's really hoping to head back to Eden. Like, she's making it abundantly clear, like, I don't intend on staying. Thanks so much for the hospitality, but, like, I'm not intending to stay here. They make her, like, spaghetti dinner. Must have been a Wednesday. And she is, like, just living for the fresh bread and the butter. She's, like, having the time of her life, but she's very much like, I'm not staying here. You guys are freaks. So the Mormons ask Dusty to stay the night, telling him that they will take him back in the morning, if that's really what Dusty is intending to do. But they kind of would like him to stay. They have Dusty bunk with a young missionary named Chet. That's right. At the end of the world, there will still be missionaries. I
guess there'll still be Chets.
Also, yeah, just all of the above. The main goal of these missionaries in particular is to go out and find wives to bring them home. They are also briefly referenced. It's also briefly referenced that the target locations that these missionaries are being sent to are specifically LDS temples. Chet tells Dusty that the missionaries that are sent out to nearby locations almost always return, but the missionaries sent out to farther, out-of-state locations typically do not come back. The missionaries are not allowed to bring any weapons to defend themselves when they're going out on their missions. They don't want to make it seem like they're hostile, but, you know, the whole goal is to bring women back to become someone's wife, so, like, that's, you know, kind of hostile in and of itself anyways. Chet lets Dusty know that they have 4 children living among them. They are basically kept under lock and key because they somehow managed to not get the fever at all, so very few people get to see these children because they're trying to keep them safe at all costs. Dusty, unfortunately, has a thought of she's wondering how long the little girls are going to get to stay little girls and when, in fact, they're going to become wives. She's thinking that it's probably not going to be very long, and it unfortunately will not be very long. The next day, Dusty is just kind of out and about exploring the town, kind of like chatting with people, trying to figure out like what's the going on. While Dusty is speaking with everybody, let's see. She quickly identifies the leader of the community is Bishop Comstock. And if you are familiar with BioShock, you maybe know that Comstock is probably not a decent person. Comstock calls Dusty in for a chat where he tells Dusty that they're not looking for any new husbands. They already have too few wives. However, Comstock has asked Dusty to stay in that small town in Eden, which is where Dusty initially came from. Basically saying that they would like to have an extra set of hands in case anything goes wrong in the winter. Basically, like, will you stay nearby and can we call on you type of thing, but, like, also you're not welcome to live with us type of thing.
You're part of the reserves. If something were to happen to one of our men, then you can step on up.
Right, for sure. And so during the conversation with Comstock, Dusty discovers that Comstock knows that missionaries are going to die. Like, he knows that sending people out far is a death sentence. And his reason for sending missionaries out to far-off locations is to eliminate some of the eligible husbands in the town. So he's, like, intentionally sending people out on death marches, because best case scenario, you come back with a woman, and...
Worst case scenario, you're out of his hair.
Worst case scenario, I don't need as many women now. You know, type of thing.
Gotta keep those ratios.
Right. Dusty, basically, once Dusty hears this, she's, like, ready to get the fuck out of there. Later, during that evening's dinner, Comstock stands, and he calls 6 new missionaries up for missions. Only two members of the last mission came back. So Comstock is calling on 6 more. The next morning, Dusty sets off for Eden. Her home base, while she's out there, she's pretty much bored out of her fucking mind. She is just raiding houses, because luckily a lot of the houses in the area are stocked, because pretty much everyone who was in Eden got up and went to Huntsville, essentially, so there hasn't been a ton of scavenging in the area. Dusty, while scavenging, just sort of for normal things like food, etc., she's also bringing back, like, books, which is great, and then also just, like, random hobbies. Like, she picked up, like, a knitting basket. She's just like, I'm fucking bored, I need something to do. Basically, a month after being in Eden and just chilling out, she's beginning to kind of debate with herself, like, I haven't seen anybody, it's been a month, like, can I just, like, let my titties free? Like, should I just let them in the wind, you know, type of thing? Like, I've been in a fucking binder.
That's when they always catch them.
Literally. But she's just like, I'm in a binder, I haven't seen anybody, I don't want to be in this fucking binder anymore. Like, I would like to be able to, like, fully bathe myself, type of thing. One day, though, she hears a knock on her door. It's one of the girls from Huntsville, Jody. She shows up, she's very frantic, and she's asking for help. Dusty brings her inside, gets her warmed up by the fire. Jody tells Dusty that she knows she's going to be in a lot of trouble for being alone in a man's home, but she had to sneak out in the middle of the night. Jody tells Dusty that in the month that Dusty's been gone, things have gone, like, horrifically awry in Huntsville. One of the missionaries that was sent to Nevada ended up coming back, but he came back without his mission buddy. However, he did in fact bring back a wife in her 30s, who Jody is like, she's kind of old. She's like in her late 30s, and it's like, okay, Jody, like, chill the fuck out. Don't be rude, girl. So, let's see. The returning missionary tells the community that while on the mission, his mission buddy married him and the lady, before he died. So basically, his partner married them and then died at some point after, which is not suspicious at all. The elders of the community are not very happy, though, because missionaries aren't able to marry people. Very specifically, like, in the ordained sense, not in the, like, celibate sense. Either way, the missionary said that him and his mission buddy prayed on it, and that God said it was totally chill for them to get married. Besides that, he says, I've already knocked her up, so you can't take her from me. There's pretty much a huge fuss because she is actually black, and apparently Mormons are racist. So also they're, like, mad that she's a cougar. Like, I don't know, it's very strange. Like, there's, like, some people who are like, well, what if I want to marry her? And then other people are like, but mixed race babies, and she's so old, she's in her late 30s.
Plus, he already said dibs.
Right, exactly.
The rage that I feel inside, just
I know
the whole fucking thing.
I know. I'm really learning something about myself, is that I only read things that piss me the fuck off. Like, I'm just like, will this make me angry? Yes, let's go. So let's see. Basically, the members want the marriage annulled. They want her to be able to choose her husband because she only had 2 choices while she was on the road. And our initial missionary, the lady's husband, says that if anyone tries to take her away, I'm gonna kill them. So he basically has, like, a last stand of,
None
like,
of this sounds godly.
Correct.
Sorry. Anyway.
No, you're good.
So you all support a women's right to choose. Oh, we didn't go that far. We wouldn't go that far.
They, like, Yeah, basically, it's like women are allowed to pick their husbands, but like we're later going to find out that not really type of thing, which I'm sure is...
No, they don't really. They're just using it as an excuse currently,
Right.
it sounds like, just so they can annul the marriage. But I'm like, let's be honest, annulling the marriage is not godly either.
Correct.
I believe Mormons specifically really frown upon like divorce in general.
Yes. Okay, so... But regardless, this whole entire scene playing out of, like, take my wife and die doesn't end up mattering because, unfortunately, she has the fever. And unfortunately, the big issue with her having the fever is, in the time she was in the town, she was added to the caregiver group for the children. So, if we kind of process what's happening there, that means that 3 of the 4 children died. Basically, the other one got the fever but managed to survive. The other 3 children ended up passing away. A lot of other members of the community ended up passing away as well, including Bishop Comstock.
Oh no.
Right. So, and like,
Oh.
if you can imagine, the next leader is even fucking worse. So Jody came to Dusty essentially because the new leader, Bishop Graves, is acting like fucking sus as hell. He's basically telling everybody that he's a prophet of God and that God wants him to marry the last living child, Patty. She's fucking 9 years old, by the way. So, you know, didn't take very long. Like, within a month, little Miss Patty is married, basically. A fucking 9-year-old child.
I'm glad he waited.
He basically says that he's going to keep the child captive in his house so that she can learn to love him. But he said that he will be waiting 7 years before taking her virginity. So, like, don't worry, guys. Also, spoilers. He does not, in fact, wait fucking 7 years to take her virginity.
I
don't believe the pedo.
I was about to give him props for having some kind of morals, but yeah, you got ahead of it.
Yeah. Also, you know, 7 years is perhaps not enough. Like, also, perhaps it's her choice, right? But, you know, whatever.
Not according to the new guy.
It's a man's world, and we're just living in it. Graves has also gone around and married off all of the remaining women of the community. He has essentially chosen partners for them. They didn't get a choice in who they got to marry. Because, LOL, why would women get to choose anything? However, he tells Jody that her missionary husband, Hannes, has likely died, and that she will need to be married off too. Jody declines, as there's no proof that her husband is dead, and he hasn't been gone especially long. I'm pretty certain that if he wasn't with the missionaries that set out, he left like maybe 6-ish months ago. Let's see. But men keep coming to her house anyways, trying to sort of convince her to marry them. But the inciting incident for her leaving is Graves told her that she needs to learn how to submit. She's being entirely too stubborn about picking a new husband. So as punishment, he is going to pick her husband for her. So, like, shock. Obviously, he did that with everybody else. Why would he actually let Jody have a choice? But let's see, hang on. Oh, and after basically being fed up with Jody, he then says that no women ever will get to even have the pretense of picking her partner. If she doesn't have a living father, then the bishop is going to select husbands for any future women. Dusty essentially asks why they wouldn't just wait for, I maybe forgot to mention this, but Jody is in fact also pregnant. So Dusty asks, like, why they wouldn't wait for Jody's baby to be born before, like, trying to marry her off. But Jody says that she didn't tell anybody she was pregnant, so she's been keeping it hidden. Jody then pleads with Dusty, saying that she would cook and clean for him as long as Dusty allows her to stay with him. Obviously, Dusty is going to agree regardless and says, like, you don't have to take care of me. I've been taking care of myself, but, like, if you ask me to stay, you get to stay. Like, you don't have to bargain anything with me. Like, you're safe here. I won't let anybody take you type of thing. Dusty then asks Jody some questions in order to assess the state of her pregnancy. Dusty then goes on to tell Jody that a lot of babies are born sick with the fever and that it's a very real possibility that her baby is not going to survive. Jody super isn't worried because the head bishop in SSE told her that the babies born in the new world will not be dying. So it's okay for women to have babies because, you know, it's a new world now, and so the fever is not real.
Oh my god.
Right. So Dusty gets Jody set up in one of the bedrooms in the house. She then begins to debate on whether or not she should tell Jody that she's not actually brother Dusty. She eventually decides, like, well, if I'm telling Jody she has to be completely honest with me about anything going on with her body, I should probably be honest with her about who I am as a person as well. So, Dusty, essentially, to out herself to Jody, takes off her binder. Jody is very put off, but Dusty is like, my titties are free, they're gonna be staying free, like, I let them out of the bag, it's gonna stay out, essentially. But Jody's also not, it's not a deal breaker for Jody that Dusty is pretending to be a woman, or that just Dusty was pretending to be a man who is actually a woman. However, legitimately, immediately after, like, showing Jody that she's a woman and then putting on a sports bra, 2 men knock on her door. The community, so they've shown up, they are basically asking, like, hey, one of the members of our community is left, we're really worried about her, she left in the night, is it okay if we come in and check the house and see if she maybe, like, snuck into your house? Dusty then basically, yeah, you can come in, but I haven't been feeling so great. So they're like, okay, never mind. Like, that's okay. We'll believe you if you say she's not been there. We're not coming in. So, let's see. Jody and Dusty, like, do not get along, and so a lot of, like, them just chilling is essentially them just fucking bickering constantly, because Jody is very much categorized as, like, late teen, early 20s, just, like, vapid, watch The Real Housewives, favorite hobby is gossip, but, like, also hard same. They kind of just sort of coexist. Dusty just repeatedly thinks about how hot Jody is, but, like, how fucking annoying she is at the same time. So, one day they hear a snowmobile pull up, a man jumps off the snowmobile and runs up to the door and starts banging on it. It's Hannes, Jody's husband.
The one that was missing?
The one that...
He survived!
Yeah, he wasn't actually dead. The bishop just wanted to marry her off to somebody so that, you know, someone could get their dick wet, more or less. Hannes is incredibly thankful for Dusty protecting Jody. Let's see. So he thanks Dusty for protecting Jody. He goes to shake Dusty's hand, and Jody goes, she's a woman, you don't have to shake her hand. And he goes, well, you protected my wife, so I'm gonna shake your hand anyways. Fucking...
Thanks,
the
Jody.
look Nick is giving
Jody!
me. The look Nick is giving
What
me.
the actual fuck is wrong with her? Oh my
Literally.
god, kill her before she tells the whole town.
I know, she's fucking annoying. Okay, so...
I'm starting to think that, you know, maybe that the head missionary should have just done something with her, because obviously she doesn't make the best decisions.
Right. So the reason Hannes ended up finding Jody is they had made an agreement that if anything ever happened and they got separated, that they would leave a note in a specific book in the house telling the other where they went. So she left a note basically saying, like, I went to Eden, and so Hannes was able to find her once he returned and kind of checked that book. Hannes and Jody end up sleeping in separate rooms, which Dusty thinks is, like, super fucking weird. Hannes is very adamant that he does not want to discuss anything he saw while he was out on the road. Dusty asks him if he kept a journal, and he confirms he did keep a journal, as it is a requirement for missionaries to, like, basically journal what happens on their mission, but that he doesn't want anyone to read it ever, to the point where he's planning on burning it. He just needs to burn it when Jody isn't going to be there, because he's, like, incredibly worried specifically that Jody's going to read the journal. Dusty, though, she's got the hunger for the stories, so she does what anyone would do in the situation, and she steals the journal. She steals it, and she hides it, and she reads it, in her spare time. So, around day 47 of the mission, Hannes notes that he's certain that someone's been following them. It's a girl. At one point, him and his mission buddy, basically hear her, like, giggling outside of where they're, like, staying for the night. She then starts, like, calling out to them, like, oh, pretty boys. And they're just like, what the fuck is happening? Like, very confused. She, like, tells them to come keep her company. They don't. And then she just kind of vanishes. Fast forward to day 53. So day 53 of Hannes's mission, they find out that, like, actually there was someone following them. They weren't just hallucinating. It was, in fact, a woman. And they've ended up being, like, taken back to her hive. They were captured, taken there. It's maybe going to make some sense shortly. Like, there is a reason it's called a hive.
Bee women.
Already.
Big ol' badonks.
Yeah, queen bee, essentially. Yeah, that's why.
But also stingers.
But whatever. So, let's see. Once they're taken to the hive, they're force-fed with alcohol, and then they're forced to smoke something, which Hannes thinks, like, very appalled, like, the marijuana. So basically they're force-fed alcohol and drugs. In the hive, Amanda has about 20 men. She is, in fact, their leader, and they are all living in an abandoned, like, theater. Between Dusty reading the journal, so we're going to be interspliced with, like, reading the journal entries and then, like, Dusty, like, continuing about her life. So, while reading the journal, her and Hannes take a trip over to the town mall. While they're there, they decide to pick up some items for the baby. Hannes also tells Dusty that, he has a project that he's working on in order to surprise Jody, which is the main reason he wanted to come to the mall, was to pick up supplies for his project. While at the mall, Dusty brings up that they're sleeping in separate rooms. He says that Jody isn't interested in having sex beyond making babies. Dusty tells him to ask Jody what she likes then, or if she doesn't know what she likes, to try to help her figure it out. Hannah says that he's tried talking to her about it. And Dusty then basically gives him very specific acts to try to seduce Jody. Basically, like, have you tried nipple play? Like, just very...
Oh my god.
Just very being open about it. But, like, also, if a woman is having sex consensually, she should be enjoying it, right? So, like, that's essentially where Dusty's coming from on this, of, like, I know you're going to get, like...
She's trying to help a brother out.
Yeah, she's like, I know you're going to end up getting weird and frustrated if you're not getting it, and I don't want you ever looking at me, but, like, also, you know, she's your wife. Like, I can tell that you guys love each other. Like, it just help her figure out what she likes. You guys are both... I guess Dusty's explaining, like, approaching it from, like, you're both really young and you're probably each other's first partners type of thing. So, like, let me kind of help you figure out how to be good at sex type of thing. Basically, let's see. So, Dusty gets way too much into detail, and then Hannes gets very tense and then jumps up and, like, runs off. Like, basically, he had a boner and he was embarrassed about it. So, we're back to the journal. On day 54, Hannes has been called in to speak with Amanda privately. She's lying on a couch completely naked. She asks him a little bit about himself, where he's from, why they, like, came out this way. She then goes on to tell him to take his pants off. He declines. He tells her he's a married man, and she tells him that all women are dead. She's the last woman on Earth. She's the queen, and she needs more drones to bring her honey. Literal direct quote. She basically, she wants the semen, I guess. I don't know. He again declines. She then throws him out and asks for the other missionary to come in. After a period of time, both the other missionary and Amanda emerge from the private area. Both of them are completely naked. She holds the missionary's hand in the air and announces that a new drone has arrived at the hive. They then begin having an orgy about it. Some dudes, like, get all up on Hannes and start smooching him, and he's like, that was his deal breaker. He's like, don't be kissing my neck, fella. And so he nopes the fuck out of there. After reading day 54, Dusty wakes up the next morning to the sound of Hannes outside chopping wood. This has apparently come to be... They're back at the house now, obviously. I clearly skipped that piece of info, but they're back at the house. He's outside chopping wood. That's become a signal for him to go have a private... Like, that he wants a private chat with Dusty, essentially.
So once Dusty gets outside, Hannes begins asking her if she's religious, if she knows Jesus. She's answering the questions. She's like really disinterested in even having this conversation. She's not really sure where Hannes is going with this point, but she's like answering honestly. He then goes on to tell her that Jesus was in fact married to 2 women. Dusty then says, "So you're
God.
Yeah. And Dusty, being like absolute unbothered queen, goes, "So you're saying that now that there are more men than women, Jody should get a second husband?" And Hannes did not like that at all. He gets like really flustered. He's not like mad about it, but he's like really flustered and he's like, "Oh no, that's not what I'm saying." He then tries to explain, he's trying to explain basically his side of things. And she tells him that she has no issue with a poly relationship if that's what people want and that's what they're consenting to. But that at this point, women have a lot more choices and partners, and so it's incredibly ridiculous to think that one man should get to have more than one wife when, like, there aren't even enough women to go around type of thing. Like, don't be a greedy asshole. Like, if someone's consenting to it, that's fine, but, like, why are you trying to make a play for me? She then basically says it's more likely that women are going to start to collect multiple mates, which is also incredibly true. In the second book, basically it's like a household of like one woman and like a handful of men, and basically any children are everybody's children type of thing. So that's basically the future. The future is female, and also the future is women having a lot of really nice men, apparently. Anyway, so basically when she says women are going to start collecting multiple mates, Hannes drops it because obviously he saw in practice that a woman was collecting multiple mates, and that was kind of a trauma for him. Obviously, like he was low-key sexually assaulted, so that makes sense that he's a little freaked out by that. But one night after Jody goes to bed, Dusty and Hannes are chatting. He asks Dusty if it's true that some women like sex, asking, "It's not just a myth made up by pornographers?" Dusty confirms, yes, that she's enjoyed sex. She's enjoyed sex with Jack and Cassie and Dana and Andrew. Hannes gets like really fucking uncomfortable because like not only is she going through and listing off all the people that she's had good sex with, they're both male and female partners.
Just wait until he hears about the Mama number 5 she's done with people.
Literally. Yes. Fucking Dusty's Mambo number 5 of sexual partners.
There's Monica and Rita and Tina.
Literally.
And as I continue, they're only getting sweeter.
Oh my god, it's so smooth though. Wait.
Okay, so Hannes goes on to tell Dusty that Jody thinks it's gross that she's been with women. Dusty shrugs it off, but also says, like, I hope she doesn't think I'm perving on her when I'm, like, actually assessing, like, her pregnancy. And he's like, no, she, like, separates it. It's like there's Dusty the person and then Dusty the doctor. So, like, Dusty the person is gross for liking women, but Dusty the doctor is a doctor and is doing job, and sex isn't even a thing. Which, you know, we love that, I guess. Dusty shrugs it off, doesn't really care, and then Hannes then basically goes, do you wonder if I think it's gross? And she tells him, I don't give a fuck what you think of me.
I don't think about you at all.
Right, exactly. He then says, well, I don't think it's gross. Hannes then continues being a perv, asking if Dusty likes men or women, but he says, do you like guys or girls? Because, God forbid, a woman is an adult. Dusty tells him that she likes people and the bodies that they come with. So we love a pansexual queen. Hannes, I know, right? Hannes then tells her that he's never met anyone like her while slowly reaching for her hand. But at this point, Jody is in the doorway and is like, Hannes, can I have some water? So switching on back to the journal, basically Hannes was making a move and Jody cock-blocked her husband. Switching back to the book of Hannes, day 89, Hannes has made it to his destination. He's in Denver. He's there to visit the Mormon temple. When he gets into the city, the whole city's been burned, but the temple is still standing. He goes inside. He finds a lot of fire damage inside the temple, but in one of the rooms, he sees a group of 10 people. They're all surrounding an altar. they've all been burned so badly he can't make out who these people even are. Basically just a very, like, kind of almost like Fallout, like just a bunch of bodies surrounding an altar type of moment. Back to present day, Hannes has been spending most of his days out of the house scavenging. Both Jody and Dusty think it's because he's trying to avoid them. Day 136 of Hannes' journal, he's found 2 brothers on a farm. The brothers are super nice. They offer him food. They offer him a place to stay. They tell him where to find something, but, like, we never know what the end of that fucking sentence is. Because Hannes walks in while Dusty's reading the journal. At first, he's, like, really upset, like, but he doesn't have time to actually, like, be pissed and lay into Dusty because he's brought the surprise, and so he's asking Dusty to come out and, like, join him and Jody so that he can unveil the surprise that he has brought for Jody. The surprise is that he has brought Christmas. He's brought a Christmas tree. He's been spending his time outside of the house, finding and wrapping presents for both of them. So this is, like, a really sweet thing that he's doing. So he's basically like, I don't have time to be pissed at you. It's Christmas. So, like, let's go. So, he has gifts under the tree. The girls open it. Later, he goes on to tell Dusty that he's not necessarily mad about the journal, but he feels incredibly violated. She tells him she understands, but that he shouldn't feel ashamed of what happened on the road. He should feel incredibly proud of himself because he went out into somewhere incredibly dangerous. He went very far and he ended up coming back alive. And so she's like, you have nothing to be ashamed for. Like, you didn't do anything that's shameful. You basically survived a lot of danger and you came home. Like, that's something you should be proud of. Let's see. So for Christmas, Hannes has brought Dusty a pair of pajamas. She describes them as being surprisingly tasteful. And he has also brought her a bunch of books, which he is incredibly proud of the fact that he ended up scavenging a full box of books that are all written by women, specifically for Dusty. So it kind of goes to show that, like, he is kind of a big dum-dum, like a bit of a himbo, but, like, he's also capable of being thoughtful. The following day after Christmas, Jody goes into labor. She's in labor for about 2 days, and then she has a stillborn son. Jody is rightfully inconsolable. She stays in bed for days at a time. Hannes is incredibly worried because she won't eat anything, she won't drink anything, she won't get out of bed. He's worried that she's essentially going to starve herself. And he's also grieving the loss of his son as well, you know? So it's like, my son is gone, but also my wife very clearly seems like she too is going to be gone. So he's going through it right now. One night, Dusty's reading in her room. Hannes comes up and pulls the book out of her hand. She's annoyed with him, and as she, like, looks up to, like, kind of go off on him, she realizes that he's been sobbing. Like, he's very clearly upset. And all he says is please. So she comforts him with her vagina. She then continues to comfort him with her vagina repeatedly over the course of several days.
Pause?
Yes.
Pause, wait. So wife is inconsolable.
Yes.
And they both get it behind wife's back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's exactly.
Okay, continue.
That's exactly what happened, yeah. So basically they've been having sex. Dusty writes in her journal, we keep saying that we're gonna stop and then we don't, because that's how cheaters be cheating. So basically one day she tells Hannes, like, I just want you to know that in the spring I'm leaving. She wants to settle somewhere where there's less snow and somewhere where there's, like, really good earth for farming, essentially. Hannes is completely shocked and dumbfounded that she would up and leave. He outright asks if she'll marry him. She tells him that he doesn't even know her name, so he's like, well, tell me your name, and she doesn't. He then goes on to basically say, well, you might be pregnant. We've been fucking constantly, so you can't leave because you might be pregnant. And she just kind of laughs at him and is like, no, there's absolutely no fucking way that I'm pregnant, and I have no intention of ever being pregnant and dying, which, like, obviously super fucking relatable. Shortly after Jody comes out of her sorrow, basically she like gets up and she's moving around the house. Dusty offers her birth control, basically because obviously that birth took a toll on her. It's also incredibly dangerous, but it's also incredibly sad, right? Like, you went through 9 months of planning and then, you know, it's just not cute. So she's like, here's some birth control. Because Hannes is making it incredibly clear that he is excited to have another baby and to try again. So Jody is completely incensed that Dusty has offered her birth control and is suggesting that, like, a second pregnancy will go similarly. So they end up having, like, an incredibly big fight. Jody basically says that Dusty's offering her birth control because she's jealous because no one would ever want Dusty, which, you know, she's been fucking her husband, so relax. But the next morning, Dusty decides that she's got to leave. Like, she's not going to wait until spring. She's just going to pack up and go. Like, it's close enough to spring. Let's get out of here. As she's leaving, Jody thanks her for saving her life. Dusty basically says, it's my job. You don't have to thank me for that. I was never going to let you die. Like, there was never a world in which I'd watch you suffer and die. Dusty then asks, Hannes to, like, step outside. Before she asks Hannes to step outside, she grabs Jody and says, you don't need to do everything Hannes tells you to. Not now, not ever. He needs you way more than you need him, and I need you to think about that. So she then asks Hannes to leave. So she basically, like, roasts Hannes and then is like, okay, leave, I gotta talk to her alone. She then gives Jody 3 years worth of birth control. Jody tries to decline, but Dusty says, if anything happens to Hannes, you're going to end up dealing with a lot of guys. You may not want to be dealing with a lot of guys, but you will be. So I need you to take this because you might want this if you ever end up in that situation. Jody sobbing, but she takes the birth control. Dusty then tells her to be careful and to keep her eyes open. Jody leaves. Hannes comes back in. He hugs Dusty and kisses her head. Dusty tries to pull away. He then asks her to stay with him again. She tells him not to embarrass himself, and she then tells him that he's a coward. She goes on to tell him, I think you married her just so you wouldn't have to try hard ever again. She tells him that someone will try to take Jody away, and that he needs to watch his back. In true male fashion, he basically thinks that this is a confession of love. She says, you have the one thing that
God.
Right. She says, you have the one thing that everyone wants. And he goes, oh, so you love me. He's basically saying that, like, Dusty telling him this is to protect him because she's worried something bad's going to happen to him, but she's not worried something bad's going to happen to him. She's worried that something bad is going to happen to Jody, and he's basically Jody's only line of defense. So, like, keep your eyes open, don't let anybody take her, and don't die, essentially is what she's saying. So he's like, ooh, you love me, and she's like, fucking no, stop. She basically tells him that he's helpless and that telling him these things is like helping a kitten out of a tree. Like, she doesn't see him as like an adult. She sees him like as a baby, basically. Jody and Hannes decide that after Dusty leaves, they're going to return to Huntsville. Huntsville has now dwindled down to like less than a dozen residents. I'm not sure how many it was initially, but there's like fewer than 12 now. We then are going to follow a very quick abridged version of Hannes and Jody's story. The following autumn, Hannes and Jody decide that they're going to leave Huntsville and return back to Eden because the vibes are fuck, basically. Like, the vibes are just fucking bad. Before Jody leaves, she gives Patty, the little girl, the basket full of like birth control supplies. Because Jody and Hannes share a bedroom wall with the bishop, and so they know that he did not, in fact, wait the 7 years before he started raping her. On Christmas, Jody, like, the following Christmas, they're back in Eden. Jody tells Hannes, we have to go back for Patty. It's not right that we left her there. We can't just, like, leave her there with the bishop. We know what's going on. It's our duty as adults and as good people to go get her. They creep up into the bishop's house in the middle of the night. Jody has a shotgun. She holds it on the bishop as Hannes goes over and he wakes up Patty. Patty is obviously naked. So while Hannes is like helping to dress the girl, she's, holding the bishop under gunpoint. Hannes dresses the girl, he picks her up and he leaves. Let's see. Basically the bishop's like fucking mouthing off, but like it is what it is. Jody holds the gun on him and then as she's leaving, she says, if you follow us, I will shoot you. Don't fuck with me. Basically, they get back to the house. Shortly after they return to the house with Patty, the bishop turns up. He's banging on the door. You can't keep my wife from me, blah, blah, blah. She doesn't understand now, but she will later. Like, this is right. This is, he's being a fucking sick freak. Hannes shoots him because he's basically like, you need to leave. Like, this girl is staying with us. Like, you can't take her. So you either leave or I'm going to shoot you. So he shoots him. He shoots him in the hip. And then Jody and Hannes are very, very flustered that they just shot somebody. They don't know what to do. They don't necessarily want to kill him. But as they're debating, like, how they handle the situation of having, like, a man with a gunshot wound on their porch, Patty, behind them, just says, shoot him again. Hannes says, I can't. Right, I know. Hannes is like, well, I can't kill somebody. Like, he's not trying to hurt us now, so I can't kill him. So Patty goes up and she picks up the shotgun. She's a little badass, but she's also a little badass, and the gun is a lot bigger than something that she can wield. So Jody very gently takes the gun from Patty, and she shoots the bishop in the head. Okay. Yeah. So, and as I said, author Deer gives us the whole rundown of their futures. So Jody ends up having multiple childbirths, and 6 years later she ends up succumbing to birth. Hannes and Patty then very quickly become a couple, which God, it's icky, but it's very heavily implied that like it is consensual. Arguments are made, obviously, that she's so like 6 years from then she's maybe just 18, so it is still like fucked up because he is still very much an adult. But yeah, this isn't an arrangement against Patty's will, so it is what it is. Hannes and Patty live happily ever after. They never see another human being again. Like after leaving Huntsville and shooting the bishop, that is the last time they see another human being. We're back over to the Unnamed. It's late March. So it's late March, so it's pretty much not very long after she's left Jody and Hannes, probably. She hasn't come across anyone, but she's noticing that food scavenging is getting harder and harder because people have pretty much already been through most of the places and have already scavenged, so she's not really finding a lot of food that she can eat. She's thinking about needing to figure out how to farm and needing to find some place to settle so she can make a farm because, again, it's becoming dire and she's like, all right, I need to really figure out a solution for this. We're heading into April. Unnamed meets Vivian. Vivian and her flock of 14 men, all dressed in furs. The Unnamed says that they welcomed her in like it was time for cake in Versailles.
Drink some water.
Thanks. Nick is like, you sound like shit.
You've been talking for an hour and a half.
You have been talking for a while, so let's drink water.
Totally fine. Just, hey, drink some water.
Fine. Damn. Okay, anyways. Vivian welcomes her in like it's time for cake in Versailles. They invite her to dinner, and then they also invite her to their orgy. Unnamed declines because she's
taken that orgy.
No, because she's presenting as a man, so she like declines because she doesn't want them to
shit, you right.
But she also doesn't know like if Vivian will be welcoming to another woman in her hive, and she's just like, I'm just gonna watch you guys have fun. So
I like that they call it hives though.
Yeah.
Like, is that just a term for like when women collect men?
Yeah, essentially. It's like the queen of the hive.
I'm so in love with that.
Yeah. She declines partaking in the orgy. She is kind of loving the orgy though. She let's see. So she watches everything. She's amazed by Vivian, essentially. The men all made sure that Vivian's needs were met multiple times, and Vivian gives them nothing. So, like, we love a fucking queen.
Vivian, oh my god.
Yeah, Vivian's basically directing the show, and, like, if a man doesn't take her direction, or if he comes too soon, she's like, get out. Fucking go. Like, she's, like, a fucking queen, honestly. So, the Unnamed has a really great time, and she's like, you get it, girlfriend. She then leaves. She goes a-wandering. She passes by someone on horseback riding a cape, and she's like, that was the weirdest fucking shit I've ever seen. And then that was weird. The person on the horseback was weird, but not the, like, orgy she got to, like, she was invited to watch. She writes in her journal that she's coming up to Des Moines, and she's not sure if she wants to go through Des Moines, because she knows that there's people there. Like, approaching Des Moines, she can see smoke and stuff. So she's not... So she sees smoke coming out from Des Moines, so she knows that there's, like, campfires happening, like, people are living there, and she's not sure if she wants to risk approaching and pretending to be a man, or if she just wants to, like, sidestep it altogether. As she gets closer to the city, she sees a sign advertising top price paid for females of any age. So she's, like, not gonna go through there. She decides to go around Des Moines. She's cutting around the city, and she comes upon a house. It's in the middle of the woods, and it's fucking raining, so she's like, okay, well, it's run down and it's waterlogged, but there's, like, dry firewood in here, so I'm just gonna hold up and, like, get my shit dry, because she's soaked through. So she finds canned goods, dry firewood, she sets up a fire, she has some food, she gets, like, strips down and puts her clothes along the fire to, like, dry, and she pulls the couch over near the fire, and she, like, lays down for a little nappy. She wakes up to the door of the house opening. She pulls out her gun, and she hears someone say, who the hell lit a fire in here? The voice belongs to a man, so obviously she's immediately on edge. But he's with a woman, and they're, like, having just a normal conversation. It's not, like... It's very clear that it's not a, like, slavery scenario for this. The man comes in, they see the Unnamed, she's holding guns on them. He asks who she is. She just says, I'm a traveler. She also just woke up, and again, she's mostly unclothed. It is clear that she's a woman. Although he didn't immediately notice until she said something, and then he goes, holy shit, you're a woman. And the Unnamed basically says, if you come any closer, I'm gonna fucking kill you. The woman that's with him steps forward, and she says, my name's Ava. This is Dino. I have guns too, but I'd rather you put yours away than me pull mine out. So the Unnamed is like, okay, let me get dressed. They go on to explain, like, we're obviously not going to hurt you. This is just a way station that we use on our way back home. We've been scavenging. Our car is stuck in the mud. We just wanted to stop in. Like, you're welcome to stay. It's not a big deal. Like, sit down and have food with us. Like, it's fine. Like, don't worry about it. So, let's see. Okay. She introduces herself to them as Jane. They ask her where she's headed. She tells them that she's headed northeast, maybe towards New England. Which honestly sounds like a weird place, right? Because New England gets snow, right? Like, I'm not misunderstanding that, right?
But if a lot of the men or a lot of the messages are saying to head south, she's just trying to go.
Yeah, but one of her things was, like, less snow. So for me, it feels weird. Oh, but also maybe she's not going to New England, and she's just saying that to throw them off.
Maybe
Anyways.
She's planning for a summer home, and then a winter home.
Yeah.
Somewhere down south.
They ask her, hang on. They ask what she's looking for. She tells them just a safe place. They ask if she wants a safe place with other people, and she says, is there a safe place with other people? Is anywhere safe if there's people there, was essentially the tone in which she asked that question. They say, we're hauling a truck of supplies back. Eat with us, talk with us. They kind of learn her story. She says, I'm from San Francisco. I just came from Utah, where I spent the winter. Dino is from St. Louis. Ava is from Texas. Dino says he left the city after things got dangerous. He then asks Jane about her tattoo. She has the, like, medical snake thing, you know, like the cross with the snake and the staff or whatever. She has that tattooed, so he asks if she's a doctor. She says that she's a midwife, but that she's fully trained as a nurse. She then asks, like, oh, do either of you need medical attention? Is that why you're asking me that? And, Dino...
Are either of you pregnant?
Right. Dino basically says, a man died early, like, I know a man who died earlier this year. We think it was from tetanus. He cut himself on a rusty nail. Ava then basically cuts right to the chase, because Dino, he's a good dude, and he very much is trying not to say or do anything that is going to come across as, like, eager or aggressive. He's just trying to be as gentle as humanly possible, but Ava's like, we have a well-guarded area. It's a community. It's fenced in. We don't typically look for new members. We always bring back women and girls, though. Like, if we find them and they want to come back, we never turn them away. But we also really need somebody with medical training. Like, basically, like, of course we want you to come with us. Jane is definitely put off by this. Ava very quickly clarifies, we are asking you to join us. We're telling you we very, very much want you to join us. This is an invitation. It is not a command. We aren't going to force you to go anywhere you do not want to go. Even if you come with us, you do not have to stay there. Ava's like, it is completely free. Like, you do not need to do things that you don't want to do. Ava then tells Jane, like, I fully understand where you're coming from. I understand how this sounds. She was sold twice before she could escape Texas. She goes on to tell her backstory. She was able to escape to freedom after her last captor sold her for penicillin. He sold her, and then he killed the man that he bought the penicillin from to take Ava back. But the penicillin ended up killing him because apparently he was allergic and he didn't know. She took his car, she took his gun, she took everything, and she fucking pieced out of there. Dusty is surprised that she was, like, owned by multiple sets of men, and she never at any point got pregnant. And Ava says, I have an IUD, thank God for Planned Parenthood. Because, you know, Planned Parenthood saves people's lives. It is important, and it helps people. Dino then asks Jane directly if she wants to go with them. He tells her, again, you can leave at any point. You don't have to come with us if you don't want to. You don't have to stay. Even if you stay and you decide it's not working, you can leave. Like, we don't care. Like, it's not a captive situation. Jane also notes that Dino is very consciously speaking softly and speaking slowly. He's trying not to, like, stare at her for prolonged periods. Even when Ava changed out of her dry clothes, Dino very much quickly looked away. He looked away when Jane was putting her clothes on. Like, he's very much trying to, like, show that he's submissive and he's a safe person. And Jane clocks this and she sees it as being genuine. So she basically says, like, well, I at least want to see it, right? Like, I haven't seen a community that's peaceful, so I'll at least come and see it, and then I'll leave if I don't like it. She gets there the next morning. They drive 50 miles. They get there. It's an old military fort, and the fort sign has been painted over, and it just says Fort Nowhere. Spoilers, the series is called The Road to Nowhere, so this is going to be, like, our home, essentially. Mid-June, Jane writes that there are 124 men, 17 women, 6 young boys, and 2 young girls. She notes that the place is incredibly peaceful. It has a full infirmary that's fully stocked with anything she could ever need for medical supplies. She's been slowly working her way through the residence to do checkups. There's 2 pregnant women included. She is not 100% sure if she's going to stay, but she at least wants to make sure that everybody's, like, up to date on, like, any medical needs that they have before she, like, decides to leave. She's very strongly considering staying. She sees a lot of positives in it, but also she doesn't know if she wants to even be around people really for extended periods. Nowhere is run by a council of 5 members. Any punishments that are made to anybody for any reason are always voted upon, and any severe punishments have to be a unanimous decision, otherwise they find a different solution. Jane eventually, and very obviously, decides that she's going to stay. She begins training other folks as medics so that she doesn't burn herself out, and she begins training people as midwives. But in her words, she decides to stay because if she's free to leave, then she's free to stay too. After 7 years, she's nominated to join the council. In her time there, she had tended to the sick. She had helped pregnant women as best she could. They had even set up a hospice system because one of the members got cancer, so they set up a hospice system for any future instances of things like that. Fig is under the couch.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck she's doing. I hear it too, but it's Fig under the couch, I'm assuming. I saw her go under the table. I think that's probably where she is. Okay, anyways. So, hospice system, etc. Her journals have become infamous. Every time a new person comes into town, she asks them, like, when you're ready, stop by my office. I have journals set up. Everybody in town is documenting their story. Anybody who comes to town documents their story. Let's see. When she began running out of pages for her journals, she asks the scavenging crews, like, hey, if you see any journals, please bring them back. They come back with a literal pickup truck. The bed of the pickup truck is completely full of unused journals. So, journals for life, basically. The council feel like it's important to establish a historian to then, like, rewrite the journals so that there's multiple copies in case something happens to the originals. They don't obviously it's not for future generations, right? Because there are no babies being born at this time, but they think it's important that they still leave a mark. Even, just the kind of the human thing of, like, I don't want to be gone when I'm dead type of thing. So they just want to, like, have their stories written. Let's see. Jane's predictions. Oh, yeah. Okay. Jane's predictions that women would start taking multiple partners ends up being incredibly correct. In marriages, the hive would take the woman's last name. So basically there's plural marriages with one woman, multiple men, and the entire family unit has the woman's last name. So we are seeing, like, a full matriarchy system being set up here. And after 15 years, Jane's been there 15 years, she delivers her first healthy baby girl. And it was, like, a really sweet scenario where the baby's born and it's alive, and she's like, shit, it's always harder when the baby's alive, and the mother has to cuddle the baby. But then after, like, 3 days of feeding the baby, Jane is like, I'm gonna clean this baby up and check the baby because we haven't seen a baby last this long. And basically just, the baby doesn't die. So life is returning to normal-ish. And then there was one quote I want to read before I, like, jump into the end, because it is kind of really super cute. I'm probably not going to find it quickly. So anyways, the quote was basically one of the last entries we get out of Jane's diary is that more babies are being born, and they're being coincidentally born to women who are holding the born baby. So, like, the baby's being passed around the community, everyone's cuddling with the baby, and then women start to get pregnant and they start to, like, have births. So she basically says, like, rub that baby on you, rub that good luck, make it stick. And then she says, in a time before science, we had folklore. We didn't know why it worked then, but it's working again, and it will continue to work, essentially. So, back to our present day. We're in nowhere, obviously. A society is fully built and formed. The population has been increasing very slowly. Jane trained 2 midwives, and then they trained 2 midwives. However,
so reverse pyramid scheme.
Right. However, one of the midwives ends up dying in childbirth. So they decided to create the law of Emily, which means that if you're a midwife, you can't be a mother, and if you're a mother, you can't be a midwife. Because they want to make sure that everybody who has babies has the ability to have it safely, so they can't risk losing any midwives, essentially.
Mm-hmm. Which sounds fair.
Right. So
tough but fair.
Right. Mother Ina is the one training and instructing the scribes. She has her daughter Etta. She's like kind of thinking, she's hanging up the belly. She's remembering being able to enter like the house of mothers, so like mothers obviously are incredibly revered because not everybody has the ability to have babies. So once you become a mother, you're kind of elevated to like this status. And she remembers how proud she was when she had her daughter Etta, and she is looking forward to the day that Etta chooses her path and ideally becomes a mother. But Etta, as a teenager, she left nowhere. And Etta is a fucking badass. She's basically goes through the world, the country, essentially. She is hunting for slavers. She kills them on sight, and she takes any girls and any women she finds, and she keeps them safe, and she brings them home. So our next journey will be Etta's story. But yeah, that is the book of the Unnamed Midwife.
Fun times.
It sounds like a really good book.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be too deep for me to actually read. I'd feel too many things.
Yeah.
But that would be a really cool movie. I'm just saying.
I agree. I very much agree. And just as like a recap, I found this book because it was like if you like this video game, read this book. And they said if you like Fallout, read Book of the Unnamed Midwife. And like, I don't necessarily agree that the Book of the Unnamed Midwife gives Fallout vibes. Book of Etta and Book of Flora very much give Fallout vibes. So like, I'm incredibly happy that I mean, I loved all three books, but I am happy that I decided to pick them up and read them. And this one does a lot of the, like, end of world tropes, and, like, as a zombie lover, like, I definitely enjoyed kind of seeing those tropes in, like, a new light type of thing. Like, in all zombie, like, movies and stories and media, it always comes down to, like, are zombies even the real monsters? People are the real monsters. So this book just kind of strips that element away and just very much cuts to the chase that, like, people are the monsters.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I do have a question, though, and it's probably such an irrelevant question compared to everything else that's going on. Does she ever mention why she was in a coma? Like,
she got the fever. That's what it was. Yeah, she came down with the fever. And she ended up surviving. But yeah, she got the fever. She kept working until she was too sick to work, and then they put her up in the nurses' the nurses' lounge, and the last thing she remembers is her partner Jack sitting next to her and basically just talking to her, and it seemed like he was probably about to like leave, but we ended up getting like Jack's story, and I didn't like necessarily mention it because I didn't necessarily mention Jack at all, but Jack ends up leaving because he is a doctor, but he's more of like the creating vaccines and studying illnesses doctor rather than like a taking care of patients doctor. So he ended up going to like a base where they tried to create a vaccine for the fever. And they ended up testing the vaccine and it didn't work. And Jack basically is like, I don't know why it didn't work. I don't know if the dose was too much, if it wasn't enough. I don't know if she was too far along in the fever or what. Basically he feels hopeless and he ends up taking his own life just to kind of and like one of the last things he thought of was our girl. Basically he thought she had died. He wasn't certain, but the last he saw her, she was like slipping into a coma. So all indicators pointed to the fact that she was in fact gonna die. And she like carries her cell phone around because she like goes back and she reads her text messages with Jack repeatedly, and then after the phone dies, like that phone feels like her only connection to him, so she ends up carrying it until the first baby's born, and then she ends up burying her cell phone in like the cemetery, essentially, like to kind of like lay Jack to rest, so to speak. Yeah.
That's so sad.
Yeah.
I might actually go read this book
Yeah.
at some point after I get through some of my TBR.
Yeah,
Because it does sound like a good book.
It is very good. They don't necessarily get super, super graphic and super, super detailed with, like, the brutality, but it's definitely hit on more than I hit on it, and I feel like I probably hit on it.
Yeah, I feel like I
quite a
know that
bit.
it's coming, so it won't hit me as hard, like, in the gut, so I think I'll be okay, but I think it's worth a read.
Yeah, the Book of Edda and the Book of Flora, I would say that it still has those themes, and it doesn't necessarily happen as much, right? Because the theme is not just, like, I'm going around and finding, like, enslaved women. There are communities that we're meeting that are, like, free. But especially the Book of Edda, very, very much so. That one, you're kind of dealing with kind of like a crime lord that they end up taking down. And the reason Edda is so impassioned about killing slavers is because something really horrible happened to her. So there's not as many scenes. It's definitely a lot more brutal, the scenes that there are, though, in the Book of Edda and the Book of Flora, but I will not kind of go into the gruesome detail on that one, because, like I said, it is a little bit heavier. But yeah.
Yeah.
Nick,
any thoughts? Any questions? Any concerns?
Yeah, it was... I felt like there weren't a whole lot of jokes that I could make. And
I know, I'm sorry.
Well...
No, I know. We enjoy being funny, but I keep picking books that are hard to be funny at.
Yeah, and it feels like books that don't need a man's interruption.
We love a man who knows his
Yeah,
place.
these are, like, books that, like, I'm like, I just want to sit and listen. We need to give them their space.
I know. It feels like when it's my episodes, like, it's like I'm reading campfire stories. Yeah. And I feel like I am, and I'm really,
I quite enjoy it. It's very organized.
Thank you.
Love it.
Thank you.
It's thorough.
I'm working on kind of 2 scripts. I am going to pause, obviously, as mentioned, before I hit the last 2 books in the series. And I am going to do the Gemma Doyle trilogy. I don't know how to pronounce her name. I will look it up before I do that episode, but that is by Libba Bray. And it's a YA novel series. It's fantasy. I would consider it historical fantasy specifically. That kind of takes place in sort of Victorian times-ish, approximately, kind of, sort of. And that one's real. It's a lot lighter, obviously, like, because it's YA. But that one's really good, and I've never heard anybody talk about it. I've never known anybody that's read it that I didn't force to read it. So I am very excited, because I feel like that one is maybe like a hidden gem.
I had to look up the name because I thought, I'm rearranging the letters on my head going, is that just library rearranged? And it is very close.
Oh, that's funny.
It is 1 letter away.
Adorable. I love that. But yeah, I'll do those 3, and then I also want to do Lights Out. I won't obviously do, like, full After Dark, but that book is so fucking funny that I have to do it. It is bonkers, I swear to God. So I'm absolutely... I feel like that would maybe be, like, a Valentine's Day special. Because it's romance.
Yeah, why not?
But yeah.
Yeah, because I got what? Krampus will be pretty lighthearted too from what I got so far. That could quickly take a turn. Who knows?
Yeah.
But,
well, Slewfoot was pretty lighthearted.
The Hunger Games, which is also technically a heavy book, I would say. Yeah. Not as heavy as these ones, but...
Yeah, again, that one's YA. At least, I know the first 3 are. I can't imagine the prequels would deviate from being YA, but I don't know. I haven't read the prequels. I only read the original. And I read them forever ago, and I'm not going to reread them, so I'm excited to, like, kind of get a recapture of the stories. Yeah.
And, like, another thing we could also talk on is 6 of Crows, too, because I think they're doing another little short novel.
Oh, okay.
So, which I'm excited for.
Nice. I mean, my main issue was just the age of them. That was like,
Yes, no, that's the wild part. I'm like,
I have such beef. Like,
it's crazy.
but like also, their ages don't make sense in that like some of them have like this like really deep history with each other that like doesn't make sense because it's like, oh my god, you were fucking 12 when you met. Like how? So that really pissed me off because if you just aged them up 10 years, the story would have still made sense. Like there was no need to have them be,
it
like,
makes
16.
more of a sense too.
Yes, it does. But yeah, I'm happy for us to do that one too. Yeah,
We can bitch about the ages. Like, it doesn't make sense.
it doesn't. Yeah, like yeah, this is like the world's most important heist. I am entrusting it with 16-year-olds. I was 16, man. And
yeah, but
you
that's
couldn't
why,
trust
like,
me to
in the
fucking...
show, I don't think they mention ages once.
Well,
Like,
yeah,
not
because
in the
it's
show,
stupid.
Not once.
Because the ages are stupid. Like, no offense. Like, not to, like, roast the writer. I, like, definitely have, I don't ever want to, like, just, like, fully rip apart a book, like, in a cruel way, just because, at the end of the day, any book that's published is somebody's hard work and somebody's art and somebody's dream coming true,
I'm gonna
right?
give it the grace that the books were great. The ages as an adult doesn't make sense, but I'm sure if I was like a 15-year-old kid reading that, I would have been like, fuck yeah, yeah, I want to be a bar owner too.
Right, because kids want to, like,
shit.
see themselves in the characters that they're reading.
Yeah.
But, like, just as a fully developed brain haver, like, you can't trust a group of 16-year-olds, maybe, like, one or two being 16 would make sense, but, like, a group, and there's not a single adult among you, the oldest one is, like, what, 18? Like, get out of here. But yeah, it wasn't meant for me. I wasn't the target demographic, so I understand, but...
No, I get it.
Yeah.
Trust me, I get it.
Okay. Is that
Alrighty.
Is that a wrap?
I think that wraps up Tale of the Unnamed Housewife. No. Midwife.
The book of the Unnamed Midwife.
The desperation of the unnamed housewives.
There we go.
Yeah. Just as a completely different book.
I'm sorry. I'm a Housewives fan, so I watch that show quite frequently.
That's adorable. I
It's
love
the
that.
first thing that comes out of my mouth.
Maybe you and Jody would have been friends.
We would have been friends, yeah. Until I told her to stop being fucking stupid.
Yeah.
But, you know, yeah, that wraps this up. Again, come join our Discord, our Instagram, our Fables, so that, or eventually moving forward, especially our Fables and our Instagram will definitely be hinting at what we'll be reading or discussing next, so you can read and join in. And yeah, come join Discord.
And tell a book friend.
Suggest
Tell a book friend about
there
us
as well.
Yes, tell all your book friends.
Yeah.
Tell them there's
Tell your book friends. Just send it over.
3 30-somethings talking about books. There's a lot of feminine rage and female empowerment, and a man who knows when to be quiet.
Yeah, and that's why I married you.
Yeah.
You were the one that proposed it. And
Oh my god, Brittney!
I didn't say anything. I went, mm-hmm. And you're like, perfect.
Our proposal story was so silly.
We love a man that knows when to hold his jokes.
Yeah. I love our proposal story, because it was literally just like, I'm serious if you're serious.
Well, you were my first, like,
yeah, no,
my only relationship, so it was very, not pressuring in, like, a bad way, but, like, am I making the right decision, which obviously, yes, but, like, the...
Oh my god, we had been together 9 years, get a grip.
The permanency of everything, I
know. I know.
Very unsure of myself. Now I'm medicated, I'm on ADHD medication, and I'm not unsure of much anymore.
We love that. Hell yeah to meds, honestly. Life-saving.
Medicated kings and queens here.
Team meds, woo! Okay.
That
was a weird...
Team med.
Yeah.
Alright.
Okay.
We'll see you guys in the next one. Keep on yapping.
Keep on yapping.
Yap it up tight.